If you are an inventor and if you are thinking out of the box and you have this thinking, you can create a solution. This is what is created. But we deal with the human element. Okay, the holistic approach sees the human element, the person involved. If he forgets to cover, it dangles there, and guess what? Water collects inside and it also breeds mosquitoes. This is worsening the problem. Your invention actually worsens the problem. So think about it. What else you have? A human element, we drive bamboo poles out there, we leave it out there. There's no clothes on it. It becomes a storage area you cannot cover. The water collects in the bamboo holder as well as the holder itself. And this likewise breeds mosquitoes. Now to deal with the human element, which is the first part, as you can see, it is 100% guaranteed. No water, no mosquitoes can enter. And the automatic system is basically to solve the first problem, forgetting to cover. Problem solved. Remove it, close. Okay, we go beyond that. It is to see things where there is none. Remember that invention takes place when you see things where there is none available. So how do we see things? The first thing, you forget to remove your bamboo holder or you leave it out there. It breeds mosquito in the old holder because you are unable to cover it. But in our system, we have designed it in such a manner. Okay? The HDB bamboo holder is actually elevated. And that's the reason why the rainwater drops in and it breeds mosquito. So what do? We counteract this with a forward protruding design. And when you install it, it's flat. And when the pole goes in, it has a baseball cap design on the top. It's forward protruding. It limits the amount of water entering the bamboo pole. Okay? And if you look at inside the cover, there is a water barrier inside. It stops the water if there is a possibility of water entering. In other words, if there is a possibility of water entering, it is stopped by the water barrier and the drainage for the water to come out. So as you can see here, the drainage jet below assists in this process. So at all times limiting the amount of water entering the holder. Okay, what else is there in the human element? Just imagine drying a wet blanket on a bamboo holder. How heavy is that? This is plastic. The original HDB holders are metal. Plastic will break over time. So how do you think out of the box? Okay, we design a concave design below here, which is this curve. So what it does is when you place in the bamboo holder, it doesn't touch it. As you can see below there. It doesn't touch the plastic. We build a surface around it so that the plastic stays as it is. And what else is there? Okay, we also deal with the vectors. Alright? Besides the human element, we deal with the vectors. Within a bamboo holder, before you actually have the DengueProtector, you will never know if there's water inside. And we say, don't worry. You never know if there's 100 mosquitoes breeding inside. We also say, don't worry. You'll never know if there's mosquito eggs inside, which can survive 5 years without water. Which means 5 years later, after the eggs hatch, the eggs are laid, the water touches the eggs, it hatches in 1 hour. And we say, don't worry. The reason for the Singapore Design President nomination 2 times is, this is not an automatic bamboo holder. This is actually a mosquito trap. It traps whatever mosquitoes that's breeding inside. It doesn't allow them to escape. So that's the importance of the design. You have to go and see beyond what is not. So design thinking in 3 dimensions is actually seeing everything that's available. There's actually 11 features in this DengueProtector, 11. I've only mentioned a few. There are more. The material that's inside is high density plastics. In other words, if I put it on the floor and I stand on it and if I'm 60 kilograms and below, it doesn't break. Within the plastic itself, there's a UV stabilizer, which means to say that under the sun, it doesn't crack, crumble, or break. And the prototype is already 7 years in the sun, and it has not cracked, crumble, or break at all. It's only the color has faded. The last part I would like to mention is you have to think about what happens when your product is actually being used after a long time. Okay, the design, as you can see with the lid, if the lid should break, okay, the design function still works. It limits the amount of water still entering because of the water barrier and the drainage gap. So you have to think beyond. In other words, to say, you have to ensure that this is a multiple design feature whereby if anything should happen to the first part of it, it will still carry on functioning. That is the DengueProtector. And I'll move on to my next invention. So as you can see, it's a holistic approach. See things where there is none, like in a dark room, and focus on the point whereby you would like to solve, which is the HDB bamboo holder, breeding mosquitoes. And you have to look at the human element, the vectors, the environment, as well as the problem itself. So design thinking in 3 dimensions is actually thinking out of the box in many dimensions. I'll bring you to my next invention. It's a Co2Saver. Like I mentioned before, it's a 7-in-1 device. If you design a product for one feature function, if that feature breaks, it is thrown away. It's wasted. If you design a product which has multiple features in it, if any part of that design breaks, the person will most likely keep it because of its other features. So this is design thinking in 3 dimensions. The ability to create a product whereby it actually goes beyond what is created. Now I'll speak about the invention versus the business. Okay, this is thinking long term, very far ahead. As you can see, there's many Coke cans out there. You can test it out later, for those who can't see behind. Okay, this is firstly a can opener. Why a can opener? Stewardesses with long fingernails break their nails. Gentlemen with very short nails have difficulty opening the can. Seniors or arthritis sufferers and children likewise have difficulty opening the can. So the first part of the feature is actually, it is a can opener. Alright? So now we go to the next one. The second feature. It is a can cover. In other words, if you put it down, you turn it around, it actually covers the can. And why is this important? Remember, we designed to save life, protect life. Maybe not in Singapore, but in overseas, in a picnic scenario, whereby you actually have cans opened by children or adults, anybody. Alright? And if you notice in the picnic scenario, there is always a fly, worse still, a bee or a wasp that enters the can, and the children or adults unknowingly drink it. They get stung, and it has happened before for children. They get stung and their throat swells up. They can't breathe and they actually die. And the parents can't see anything wrong with them because there's nothing externally. Okay? And if you look at the another scenario whereby debris are falling in a construction scenario, you never want to have a needle or pin or a nail entering your can when you're drinking something around you, when there's debris around you. So it's protecting you from debris. What else? In the car where you're driving, it's a bumpy road, you open a can, it covers it. It covers it so that it doesn't spill. So it prevents spillage as well, whether a child knocking off the table or in a vehicle. What's more important, if you press down the can opener, there will be a layer. This is slated for next year. Okay? It's an elastomer, like a silicon layer. And what it does is, it actually seals the carbonation inside the can. That's the most important part of the invention. Okay? The sealant actually seals the can and all its carbonation inside that remains. And we are targeting 14 hours for your longest flight from Singapore to London. We are hoping that it can be achieved, and then likewise, maybe 24 hours. So this is part of the invention. You're actually saving the drinks. So there are many of us who would like to only finish half a can and leave it in the fridge. Or children who drinks half a can and leave it in the fridge. So you are saving what you actually normally would throw away or finish. So this is the can opener. 3 parts invention. 2 parts, the backpack and the keychain, equals to mobility. You will always carry it around with you. It's a keychain holder or a backpack. In other words, the children will just remove it from their backpack, put it, open it, use it, and then slot it back inside. The aeroplane is actually the holder for the can opener. So basically you have to carry it all around you. And now we'll go into the business part of it. Normally in invention, you have to compromise between business and invention. Which part do you want to pursue? Money, profits, or the invention itself? What we do, because we know this, we see ahead. What we do is we integrate. We bring business to enhance the invention. And how do we do that? Okay, for example, Pepsi and Coke. Coca advertises by giving away a cup to the store owners. whereby if you buy a Coke drink, you will get a Coke hard drink cup. So this is marketing and advertising. Likewise, the can opener can be the same position, and it's mobile. That means you can bring it along with you. So for example, if you put Pepsi logo on the aeroplane, okay, and a Coke buyer, a Coke drinker uses it and uses a Pepsi can opener, opens it up, drinks it. The general thinking is, around them, they are friends. And because it's an invention, what's that is the question is always asked. What's that? Oh, it's my new toy, you know? And where did you get it? It's the second question. Well, just go and buy a 6-pack of Pepsi and you get 1 free. So in businesses, they always think this. Advertising equals to what's my ROI? And your ROI is the sale of the 6-pack with 1 free CO2 saver. So this is how it works. And what else do we think in the future besides inventing an invention? Okay, we look at it in a different format. It is a 2-dimensional platform. In other words, as is, you can actually print on it. You can actually emboss it. Okay? But we go beyond that. We do not do things in 2 dimensions. We do things in 3 dimensions. So we actually create an aeroplane. And what is that aeroplane? It is the possibilities of what is, which is to say, it can be a transformer, a Hello Kitty. It can be any cartoon on the planet, any movie, any game advertisement on the planet. Which means the potential is limited to your imagination. So as you can see, this is the can opener, the CO2 saver in its advertising mode. And that is part of marketing and advertising built into the invention in the design stage. Not at the end of it, in the design stage. Okay, the third part. I mentioned that CATDesigns is the most important part. This is how we actually teach you how to think out of the box with what we know. Okay? The first part is design thinking in 3 dimensions. Not with 3D. In 3 dimensions. Okay? CATDesign is a 2D to 3D augmented reality system. Okay? It's design thinking in 3D. It's to innovate education for tomorrow. And how can we teach your children and yourself what we know? Okay? It incorporates technology, which means, say, there are 3D printers, which will be outside later on, lunchtime. And there will also be other technology that is required, applications and software. And this all has to be very simple application and software for everybody to use it.